Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge Craftsher, I'm going to read you a quote, and you tell me whether or not you know who said this, okay? 100% of the women at call centers have been abused. It's an atmosphere of abuse. Anytime we see a call center person, female, all have been abused. Do you know who said that, Judge?
I did. It was taken out of context.
Well,
sir, your microphone, can you repeat that, sir?
Yes.
He said it was taken out of context. Well, let's put that in context. Judge, did somebody testify to that at a lower level? Was that in the record?
No, sir. That was my experience.
Did you rely on a learned treatise? You made a point of saying in your opening statement how much respect you pay to the federal rules and the Constitution. Was that a learned treatise you relied upon, Judge?
No, that was my experience over 20
So you
years.
made yourself a witness even though the federal rules are very clear that judges are not witnesses. Is that what your testimony is, Judge?
That was my opinion, not others.
100% of female employees at call centers have been abused.
I didn't say that. 100% of the people that appeared before me have been abused.
And you relied on no learned treatise, no testimony at a lower level, just your innate sense of medicine?
No, that's been my experience having hearings.
Well, let me ask you about another one of your experiences, Judge. I want to read you another quote and ask you whether or not you recognize who said this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
How did your family discipline you? Did they hit you on the butt? I'm starting to do some analysis. It's starting to be when women are hit at an early age, they start developing problems in their 20s, late teens and 20s. My ex-wife told me about this. There's something in a girl that's a sexual thing. It arouses certain things. Did you say that, Judge?
Yes, I did.
Did you rely upon a learned treatise in reaching that determination?
No, I relied on...
Did you rely on something at a lower level, a hearing, a witness testified to that?
No, I relied on my experience hearing case over 20 years.
Judge, I hasten to add, because you made a point of saying in your opening statement that your first responsibility is to the Constitution and the federal rules of evidence. Are you aware that judges can't be witnesses? Are you familiar with that, Judge?
I don't consider myself a witness.
You just testified to your own personal experience. If that's not a witness, what is it?
That's a personal opinion.
Judges can't express personal opinions either. That's why we have something called experts.
So that's
Did an expert testify to that, Judge?
That's called a First Amendment right.
You're considered, so you have a First Amendment right to say whatever the hell you want in a hearing. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir.
And you can rely upon that when you're spending taxpayer money?
No, sir. But that's an isolated case.
Well, it can't be an isolated case. I just cited two.
Yeah.
And my colleagues cited others.
Yeah, you're taking isolated cases. I've had...
Let's go a little broader than that, Judge. What is your reversal rate of the hearing officer? Is it in excess of 90%?
Yes, it's based upon testimony given to me.
All right, and it has to be adjudicated twice before it gets to you, right?
That's correct.
And only if it's denied does it get to you. So 90% of the time, the people under you are wrong.
No, I want to be able to cross...
Well, it has to be, or you wouldn't be reversing them. They've denied benefits, Judge, and you've reversed their denial. That means that you're hiring some really dumb people to be hearing officers because they're wrong 90% of the time.
No, sir. I want to be able to cross-examine the people from Social Security.
I'm glad you mentioned cross-examination.
Right.
I can't tell you how glad I am.
Yeah.
Because in every other court proceeding, there is someone cross-examining the witnesses, but it's not a judge. It's an attorney, and that's true in misdemeanor crimes, that's true in felony crimes, that's true in civil cases. So what I think you need, Judge, is I think you need an advocate and an attorney for the taxpayer in the hearing room. Because I don't want you cross-examining witnesses. If you really think that paddling a child leads to sexual issues, I don't want you doing the cross-examination. And if you really think that 100% of CNAs have been abused and 100% of females in call centers have been abused, I don't want you doing the cross-examination, Judge.
Sir, we wear three hats. One hat is the Social Security hat. The other hat is the claimant's hat. The other hat is the Social Security hat.
Where's the expert witness hat? You just said you were an expert witness.
We have an adversary system, and I have the right...
It's not an adversary system. There's no advocate for the taxpayer that's in the courtroom.
We have a non-adversary system, sir. It's a non-adversary system, and I have to wear 3 hats.
It can't be too adversarial, or you would not reverse the hearing officer 90% of the time. And some of your colleagues, 99% of the time, they reverse a hearing officer. And we mistakenly, Judge, thought it was because you were eyeballing the witnesses so you could assess credibility. But we learned from your colleague, Mr. Taylor, that that's not even true. You don't even have a hearing. You just do it on the paper.
Sir, it's not eyeballing the witness. I take testimony. I have had here, this sheet has,
And who does the cross-examination?
has 186 ailments on it.
Who does? Well, that's your document. Mr. Cummings,
no.
Mr. Cummings just exposed it. That's your document. That's
The attorney also provides one for me,
the attorney for whom?
for the claimant.
That's my point. There is no attorney for the taxpayer.
Correct.
We're going broke. Mr. Chairman, I know I'm out of time, but I'm going to tell you a story from Spartanburg real quickly. I had a judge call me. He's apolitical. And he said, I just sentenced someone for calling under people's houses and stealing their copper. And he said, what really struck me as being unusual, Trey, is he is 100% disabled in the back. I want you to think about that, Judge, and I want you to think about one other thing, too. I went on a tour of something called a workability center, where people with special needs value work enough that they go to work every single day. And there was one man who was confined to a wheelchair, had no use of his hands or legs, but his job was to encourage his fellow employees. There is inherent value in work. And one reason your backlog may be so big is because it's so damn easy to get benefits.
Not for me, not for me. I hear every case. I see every person that's ever appeared before me. Everyone.
You reverse the hearing officer over 90% of the time, Judge. 90% of the time, the person at the first level is wrong in your judgment, and you are citing your own version of medicine. 100% of the people are abused. That if you paddle a little girl, she's going to wind up with sexual issues, despite the fact it's not in the record, Judge.
Well,
You may be a judge, but you're not God.
Well, let me explain to you. If I had this person in front of me that was down below, I can examine him on behalf of Social Security, and that would allow the claimant's rep.
Well, then why don't your colleagues have hearings? Why do they do it on the paper? If it's that important to eyeball a witness and assess credibility and cross-examine them, why are you doing it on the paper?
That's what I said in my remarks here. We need the ability to be able to have the witnesses who give any comment down below should be appear before me so I can examine them, and they can be cross-examined by the.
I want them being cross-examined by an advocate for the taxpayer, Your Honor, with all due respect, not a judge.
Well, they need an adversary system, which we don't have today.
Mr. Horsford.